This lesson, we're going to focus on JavaScript and build out all of those answer elements. So we've already created a function in order to do that. We can get rid of the console log. And over here, what we can do is we'll just create a for loop. And because we've added in all of those values into holder, we're just going to loop through the length of holder and increment x. And then every time we loop through, though, we need to create another element. So let's create var element document. And the method that we're using to create elements is create. And let's create some divs. We're also going to do a value for checker. So this is a variable and do a ternary operator. So this is where we're actually going to check to see if the value is correct. So as we're looping through the holder array, we know that we're already holding the correct value in COR, in the variable COR. So we'll check to see if they match, and if they do, then we know that it's true. Otherwise, it's false. And that's the value that we can pass into the attribute into the element, and when we click the element, we'll check the attribute to see if it's true or false. If it's true, then we know that we got the correct answer. Otherwise, it's going to be false and it's incorrect. So now going back to the element that we created, this is where we need to set attribute. And the attribute name is going to be data correct. You can call it whatever you want. And we're going to pass in the value of checker in there. Also, let's do element inner HTML. And here, we're just going to pass in whatever value is within holder. And then lastly, we also had to have those event listeners. So let's attach that event listener. And this is one of the reasons why we couldn't do it the same way we did the question, the category, because we needed the ability to have these event listeners registered. So all we're going to do is we're going to send that answer whenever it gets clicked. And then lastly, we just need to append the value. So we already have the location in cell answer. So we need to just append child. And that child is going to be the element that we just created. So it's that freshly created element. So I think we're ready. Let's take a look and see if we actually build out some buttons. And of course, they don't look like buttons quite yet, but we're going to rely on styling for that. When we look at the HTML, we see that we've got false, true, false, false. So the correct answer for this one is there. So everything is working properly. And also when we click it, we're grabbing all of that element information. See, that's the data core is what we need to check to see true or false. So let's add that in as well. So right now we're just logging out that event object. And we can also just as easily grab the element attribute. So we can do get attribute. And we already know the attribute that we're looking for. So data core. And then this will pick up the value. So this now it should say true or false. So when we click on any of these, we see false, false, true. So there we go. So we're ready to continue on to our next step and actually add a scoring mechanism. So if they are true, and these are actually going to be string values, so unfortunately they're not Boolean values because they're coming through as an attribute and the attributes are strings. So we're going to have to just check them as string values. And you could actually have any values you want in there. You could have number values as well, but they're all going to be coming in as strings. So now it's up to you. So open up your editor and do this update where you're building out an element on the fly within the question builder function. And next, we're going to wrap this up where we're going to add in the scoring, and then later we'll apply some styling to make those actually look like buttons.